today we have a 2019 Q7 with a 3-litre V6 TDI. This is a single turbo, and as you saw, it's not running very well. It's a very sad engine at the moment, and that's mainly down to there being some very scary fault codes in the ECU regarding loss of synchronization between the crankshaft and camshaft, specifically on bank 1. So the current theory with the Q7, which is over there on the ramp, is that these gears that drive the camshafts have started to break down, and I'm assuming that some of these teeth will be chewed off, and that's what's causing the incorrect correlation and the horrible noise as well. And to be honest, this is a pretty well-known issue with these camshafts now, that's unfortunately what happens to them sometimes. And whilst the engine is out, we also need to rectify this coolant leak, which looks like it might be coming from the head gasket, but we can have a closer look once the intake manifold is off and the EGR is out the way as well. So I think the only thing to do now is to set up a time lapse and remove the engine. So welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today we have yet another engine which we have to remove because there has been some catastrophic engine failure happening, and this time it's on a Gen 3 3-litre TDI engine, the EA897 engine code, I believe. Pretty much the same procedure to remove the engine. We're going to remove the engine, gearbox and subframe all in one go. I didn't record too much of disconnecting everything, like the fuel lines, coolant pipes, wiring and exhaust and other things that need to be disconnected to be able to remove the engine. So we're just going to skip straight ahead when the engine is on the trolley, and I'm going to zip out all of the subframe bolts, and then I can slowly start sending the chassis up, making sure that I'm not catching anything. In part 1, I'm going to be stripping everything off the engine, what's necessary, and then in part 2 we're going to be assembling everything back onto the engine, and hopefully everything goes to plan. So here it is. I have removed the engine. I decided to leave the shock absorbers in place, even though they're not a suspension, but I was looking at the top and there's 3 bolts holding it in place. But to be able to remove those 3 bolts, you need to dismantle quite a lot of things, so I just decided to remove the 1 bolt for the lower bush for the shock absorber. Prop shaft stays in place. There is loads of space to be able to move the engine backwards and forwards, and the AC compressor is able to unbolt it from the mounting. That's 3 bolts, and that just lives over here. I do have to say, this is really simple to remove the engine out from compared to some of the other diesels. It's as if this engine was designed to be removed in the blink of an eye. Pretty much anything that's going from the engine to the chassis is like a connection in the middle instead of having wires looping around everywhere. But this was really simple to remove. But the next step will be to remove the rocker covers on both sides so we can have a better look at what's going on. So we'll have to remove the wiring loom, fuel rail, injectors. This intake pipe needs to come out the way with the throttle body. Once we've had a look and confirmed our suspicions, then I will move on to removing the exhaust. Subframe will have to come out the way, gearbox will have to come out the way, and the intake will have to come out the way, EGR, so that we can get down to the rear timing cover. I am really curious where this coolant leak is coming from, because as you can see, it's basically spans the whole length of this cylinder head where the head gasket is. There is definitely a bit of coolant leaking from this coolant pipe on the turbo. You can see that is a little bit wet. The other side is dry. You can't really see because the manifold is in the way. Once everything is off, I'll definitely be able to show you a lot better. So I think enough talking, and we can set up a camera and start stripping it down and see what we find. So straight away, the first thing that I tried to remove didn't go to plan because whoever worked on this car previously decided to firstly cross thread the bolt for the AdBlue injector, and then if that wasn't enough, they also rounded the little Allen head. So I had to use an angle grinder to cut that out so I can remove it. And then once I removed the DPF, I saw that the turbo was starting to pass oil around the oil seals, because I believe the thrust washers inside of the turbo had failed because there was quite a lot of axial play. But luckily we have a really good company who's able to recondition these turbos, and it costs around £700 or £800 for a reconditioned unit, so it's not the end of the world, but definitely an extra cost which the customer wasn't expecting to spend. Let's see what we find. Okay. Yep, the gears are chewed up. Oh, it's not good. There's a lot of teeth missing. That's definitely going to be the problem. Ready for a magic trick? That's not supposed to be able to do that. This one's okay. Well, except all the teeth that's missing. Got the gearbox supported with the ramp, and take the subframe off. Start motor. There we go, the engine and gearbox have gone through a little bit of a divorce. They're now separated. So now I can start removing the wiring loom, some of the fuel pipes, and then I can take the intake manifold off so that we can get a closer look at that coolant leak. Is it leaking from the head gasket or this EGR plate? I think it's definitely head gasket. It's a lot of slack. Good. Right. Crankshaft is locked. Bank 2 kind of aligns. Bank 1 does not. Found some teeth.
So do you want me to store it for a year or two? Or?
There's more there, more
did
there.
you send me the registration in a text message?
Yeah. I'll send you a text message, mate. You've already got all the details because we were talking last time.
Yeah, washers.
You say that's okay?
Uh-oh.
I think we have a beautiful stump.
Oh, that piston doesn't look good. So, there's definitely more teeth in the sump, as expected. There's a couple of bits in the pickup as well. I've got to take the water pump off, pulley off, filter housing's already off, but I need to take this front plate off so that we can remove the oil pump. So there it is. The engine is, I think, pretty much stripped down to a point where I'm not going to be stripping it down anymore. From this point, I'm just going to be cleaning all the silicone off, cleaning and degreasing everything from oil so that it's all right to be put back together. Over here, I have removed the oil pump. As you can see, it's now in a million different pieces. And something interesting is that this is not only a oil pump, yes, at the same time it's a vacuum pump, so probably a bit over engineered for an oil pump, but it is what it is. The owner has agreed to put a new oil pump because we were a little bit concerned about some of the smaller chunks that might have got past the oil pickup strainer, but there was definitely some bigger chunks in there. But the main concern was for the smaller chunks that might have gotten in here and scored up the surface and potentially have caused further damage further down the line. So we didn't want to take the chance, and the owner agreed to put a new oil pump on there. This is what's inside. You have this propeller goes into there. These little vanes go in there somehow. That slides into there, and all of these vanes go into all of these grooves. This is connected to the timing chain on the front and is spinning by the crank, and when this spins it creates oil pressure because it goes from a big diameter to a smaller space, and that's what creates the pressure. So because we're waiting for the cylinder heads to come back, the only thing I can do is clean and get it ready for reassembly. But another thing which I can do is I'm going to go over here. So in this magical box is the majority of things that I'm going to be using to rebuild the engine. It's got loads and loads of gaskets. I mean, loads. Oh, injector bolts as well, that's good. Yeah, washers, gaskets. Got head gaskets, and these head gaskets are thick. They're so thick. Put that to the side. Exhaust manifold gaskets. What's this? 2 oil filters. hydraulic lifters in there. And down here we have the new camshafts, which is probably the most expensive part of this failure. And I also have another box full of parts for this engine. I have glow plugs, a new chain, rocker arms, new water pump. This is one of the valves in the middle. So yeah, there we go everyone. This is probably the worst case scenario for the EA897, the 3-litre TDI Gen3 engine. But as I mentioned, it is a pretty common issue at this point because the oil pressure is regulated and from factory is set to be very low, in my opinion. But we are able to remap these ECUs to be able to raise the oil pressure to hopefully prevent this kind of damage from happening. So this is where part 1 is going to end, unfortunately. Currently I'm cleaning all of the parts in the Aquablast machine, and I think they turned out really nice. It does a fantastic job of cleaning and degreasing at the same time. So if you're curious about how this engine will look after all of this time, money and effort spent rebuilding it, then stay tuned because part 2 will be coming next week. So thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.